We're back, baby.
We're back. Howdy, strangers, and welcome to episode 32 of the Whiskey Podcast. It's been a while.
It's been, what we looked it up, it was October 19th was our last episode.
Yeah.
And
what's
then
today? Today is
November 6th. Yes.
So a couple weeks since there. A lot has happened.
Yeah, life got absolutely screwy. We had Halloween happen. We had the entire...
Everyone got sick.
Yeah, all the youngsters got sick. And, of course, not at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So,
We had your daughter break my face.
yes. And it actually looks like it's healing nicely.
It is. Yeah. Well, we'll get to all that. First, how the hell have you all been?
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Word on the street is everyone's doing good. Everyone's anticipating their latest games and game modes with so much glee and joy.
We'd like to do a personal shout out here to our friend Danfinity.
Definitely.
Got engaged today. She said yes. So congratulations.
Was there ever any doubt?
There was no doubt, but it's still fun. So congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Finity.
Yes.
Or soon to be. But you're now one of us and you can't run away, sucker.
He didn't learn, huh? He didn't see the abject dread and exhaustion on our face.
I guess he needed to listen to more of those episodes and possibly be on one with us where we weren't as drunk.
I don't know. This might be one of those because apparently in my look for drink today, this label here, Glenlivet Nadura, kind of stood out on the shelf. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. And at $80, I'm like, that's pretty good for a Glenlivet. Let me get that box. And as I'm, reading it in the car before I head over here, I look and go, oh, this is cask strength.
Yeah. So remember the two requests I had when you're like, what should I pick up?
Sipping.
Like a sipping and non-burny.
Oh, 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Yeah, well, I guess it's all we can hope for these days, right?
It is a Glenlivet. It is very, very smooth, but it definitely tastes the 120 proof that it is.
Yep. And it's clean, so it's not chill distilled. So it's got a very nice taste. It's got a little burn to it, as you would expect, but it's pretty smooth.
It is mellowing out as the ice is melting,
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say if you get this, I highly recommend
Let it breathe.
let it breathe and maybe throw an extra ice cube in it or an extra dash.
But definitely a fan. And, if Glenlivet hears this and wants to send us more, we would be happy to continue to recommend it.
Definitely. But yeah, so a little celebratory cheers to the Finities and to the long road to a happy marriage. You guys are wonderful people. I've known them I've known Dan for, just over or just under 4 years now.
Yeah, just about.
So.
Yeah. How old is your daughter? Your first one? That's how long.
Yeah. Well, she's just over 4, so. Yeah, I think that's when I discovered them, is when I was on paternity leave.
Yep.
So had nothing to do, sitting around the house and browsing the old Twitterverse.
And then becomes the beginning of your boy crush. So. Man crush.
Yeah, and the other, I guess I had another small anniversary. Was it on the 5th? It was my 2-year mod anniversary over at Guardians Mental Health. So I've now officially been a mod for that server for over 2 years.
Congratulations, Modfather.
Yeah. It was, time has flown.
Oh, yeah. And it has hit us hard.
Yeah.
So you're still on night shifts.
I am still on night shifts, which was supposed to end in 5 days. So next Friday was supposed to be my last day of that night shift. And work has found it necessary to extend the shift all the way through the rest of till the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And man, am I just burnt out. Like a lot of the reason that the podcast hasn't been happening. This podcast,
any content.
Yeah, this podcast I haven't done a GMH cast. They actually had one last night that I couldn't do because I had to go to work. I've been barely keeping up with Fork, and the only reason I can get away with that one is because we recorded an ungodly hour at night. Mm-hmm. It actually works better that I'm on the night shift, but yeah, everything's kind of taken a hit because I don't.
Yeah, this is legit the most I've seen you awake during the daytime in months.
And the only reason for that was Friday being typically slow at work. We had a very light workload, and me and my partner there, like just knocked it out. We said, you know what, screw this, we're not staying late. Knocked it out. I think we got out of there close to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
And then rolled down the street to the local bar, split a couple of beers, and then I came home. And so that got me home at 2-ish in the morning, mm-hmm. Which, yeah, that was nice. And then I very promptly crawled into bed with my girls and...
Yeah, no, Meanwhile... my side, we haven't slept like all week. So we mentioned all 3 girls got sick. Mm-hmm. Mine was the last of them.
Right.
And somehow she came out of it like far more mentally and developmentally advanced. It's like she came out of it and, at 21 months has decided, yeah, I'm over the crib. So she wants to sleep on the floor.
Right.
Like she does at daycare on a mat. So we're doing that, which means we're now looking into a toddler bed mm-hmm. a year earlier than we thought we would be.
I mean, are you surprised? You watched our 2 girls do it.
Yeah, but still, I wasn't planning on
this. This tells me one thing. We can officially blame the wives for this.
Yeah, because it's not consistent. We're not genetically related in any way whatsoever. I ain't fat, skinny. That should tell you enough right there. But, yeah, so she's been doing that, and... as a result, between that and just how crazy life's been, I have not slept much this past week at all.
Right.
Work on my side, we've been having massive, not necessarily just turnover. Like some people left, more people have joined the company. Clients are getting reorganized, rebuilding everything from scratch, but it all like happens at once like it always does.
Right.
So... I've been doing 10, 12-hour shifts, and then when I finally, get a chance to breathe, it's like the only chance I get with the kids.
Right.
So, and the missuses. I haven't actually, last night, Mama Bear and I went into the hot tub, and it's the first time, I've spent more than an hour with her awake.
Without a child around? Yeah.
Without a child around, yeah. In 3 weeks, so looking forward to getting life back again.
Definitely.
Hopefully. That content we promised you guys, we'll get to eventually. Yeah,
that was the other bummer with my 2 girls getting sick because everything being, none of them had COVID, thankfully, but because of all of the protocols in place, you can't just go, okay, my kid doesn't have a fever today, send them back to daycare. Yep. Everything has to be, you got to monitor it, test, and then wait. So there was, between my 2 girls, a week straight that I was getting home from work, and instead of going to sleep like I should have, I had to stay up all day. Yep. Because my girls couldn't go to daycare. One then the other, and it was so I've been same thing. I've just been an exhausted mess, and
and then to finally give you some sleep, they'd eventually come here. So after a full day of work, I would get them all here.
Yeah, it was just lose-lose for everyone.
Yeah. And meanwhile, it's getting to end of semester, and we're going into the holiday breaks. So both,
what are those?
wives that are teachers have, excessive work. And of course, rather than just saying, oh, no, we're going to do our jobs and be happy with that, they've got fundraisers they're a part of and union events. And, both of them are mentoring student teachers now. And it's like, dude, seriously?
And they just went on a 5K Alzheimer's walk today?
Yeah. They left the house before 6.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. My wife's like, yeah, just go back to sleep. I'm like, no, once I'm up, I can't go back to sleep. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's been part of the other problem I've been having with the schedules being the schedules is I get home on a normal day, like everything, all things being regular. I'd get home about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then the girls wake up, go to school, I lay down, I get my sleep. The problem is with work being so slight, I've been getting off early. Which is great. I don't mind, skipping out of work after 6-7 hours and getting paid for it.
Right.
But then I get home at 4, maybe 5, and I fall asleep. The girls still wake up at 6. And it's the same thing. Once I'm up, I'm up. That second wind kicks in. So a lot of the mornings when I've been getting home early, it seems, oh, that's great. I'll actually get a full night of sleep. I actually get worse sleep because I sleep 4, 5, 6. I'm up for an hour. Then my body goes, cool, we're up.
Yep.
I don't fall back asleep until 9 or 10.
And then we've got, like my wife's like, oh, just take a nap. It'll be fine. I'm like, we've been together for, 6 years at this point? Have you ever known me to be able to successfully nap? Like, I have to be you don't, broken.
Yeah, you don't nap. You crash.
Yeah. And, yeah. Speaking of crashing and naps, so leading into the whole all the girls are sick, your 3-year-old, it became my responsibility to put her to sleep because normally I have the best opportunity. She doesn't fight me as much. She listens to me. I hold a strong line with her. Right. And normally it's fine. She pushes boundaries and I hold firm, and it is what it is. Yep. Well, about, 4 or 5 weeks ago at this point, I get the privilege of trying to get her to nap again. Yeah, you got
to experience what the rest of us do, which is why we've been going, please, since it works.
Yeah. Well, she fought me on it. And one thing, and this is actually genetically proven that she is your daughter, is she has a hard head.
Very.
And she decided to fight me. And part of fighting me was jumping up in the air and using her entire body weight to, headbutt me in the face and hit me just in the right spot, right on the bridge of my nose to re-break it where I've broken it before. So, I'm like bleeding out of my face at this
Swearing
point.
up a storm.
Yeah, and, my wife hears us, and so she comes in and, distracts her. And I'm there, like, just putting ice and trying to wash the blood out of my beard and things like that. And then I had to set it myself. And finally, after, 45 minutes, I got it to stop bleeding. I got, pain meds, and I got my face to stop throbbing. Oh, and then I had to go to a Men's Warehouse to do a tux fitting for a wedding.
Oh, how was that wedding, by the way?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Neither Nate nor I got to go to said wedding, which we bought or rented tuxes for.
Right.
Because we were home taking care of our respective sick kids.
And instead of putting sick kids on babysitters of what, or of some sort, we just, it's just better that we stay home with them.
Yeah. And it wasn't that, again, like my daughter ended up developing an ear infection, and I think they all had colds of some kind, is what it was diagnosed as. Yep. So it wasn't anything bad, but, still, they got to do what they got to do.
Yeah. And that was...
my daughter definitely developed her terrible twos early as a result.
Yeah. That was one of the funnier interactions that happened over the course of our break from content creation here was that
face getting broken.
Your face getting broken, the swearing and cursing, and three people literally dropping what they were doing. Go, oh no, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, and then your innocent, sweet-looking little girl. Like, did you break Uncle Wookie's nose? No, I just bonked him real good.
Yep.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, honey.
She's a ham. Yeah, and she's definitely...
She is, and a door just opened and little feet just skittered by, so that ham may be awake.
Uh-oh. Yeah, she's definitely taking after her sister with her precociousness.
Mm-hmm.
She's learned from the best.
And she's got an interesting... Like, the interaction between all three girls is interesting. And they're definitely developing things. Your youngest looks sweet and innocent, but she is... mischievous and evil.
She is definitely the middle child.
Yeah. Like I was talking to my wife and I'm like, you know what? Brooke, your oldest, will be the one that teaches Maya, my daughter, about electricity, atoms and molecules and all how that works, etc. Charlotte, your youngest, will teach Maya what happens when you stick your finger in an electrical socket.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same lesson.
One's a little more life lessons through experience, but that's their relationship, I guess.
It's the difference between a scientist and an engineer. There's a practical application for it.
Uh-huh. There's just that evil grin.
Right.
Oh, my God. And then through all of that, we ended up getting Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my little one had like 8 costume changes over the course of 2 days.
Right.
But she was an Ewok for a little bit. She was a puppy. She was an In-N-Out burger. She had Elsa for a bit. So we had all those things going on. Hello. Hi. What do you got there? Oh.
What did she use?
You used face cream. Where did she get the face cream? Yeah. Yeah, that's not where the camera is. Yeah. See, that's the camera right up there.
Go stand in between your uncle and your daddy.
Come stand right here. Turn around. Look at the bookshelf.
Want to show everyone your artwork?
Hold it up.
Good job.
Okay, Bug.
All right, we'll see you later.
Yeah,
Thanks for swinging by. Love you, bye.
Hey, ice cubes, please. Thank you.
So yeah, in case you were wondering, we're really not making any of this up.
So costume changes. In-N-Out burger.
Yeah, Elsa. We were skeletons for a bit. Your daughter was a cobweb, the youngest.
Which was basically black pajamas and a cobweb thing.
And she had a spider on her head.
Right.
And your oldest was...
a rainbow pirate, or a rainbow kitty space robot.
Yes.
So a rainbow dress with kitty ears and a tinfoil wrapped cardboard box.
Which she helped wrap and glue. I don't know. I just work here. Thank you. So that's been the whirlwind in a nutshell.
Right. Yeah, that was the Halloween. And I will say Halloween this year was much more successful than last year. But then prior years, and again, that's just the years of maturity between the girls. We actually made it up and down an entire street.
Nice.
Whereas I think the first Halloween that they did, where we went trick-or-treating, they made it about 4 houses.
And then ran away because there's that one house that had a...
That one house, we have this neighbor that goes all out. Animatronics, smoke, like, just decks out the entire front yard. This year, they actually kind of fenced it off, you know, with sheets and whatnot, and had a enter at your own risk, but they still had, like, this giant animatronic clown over the opening that was just,
right,
you know, doing its thing and the creepy sounds, and a couple of the homeowners were actually in clown costume standing amongst the animatronics. And the first year that we went trick-or-treating, Brooke, just the first time she saw that house, she was done.
Yeah,
it was like
she noped out of there.
Noped out of there. She noped out of the next house, and then like it took a couple more houses with more tame decorations before she was ready to approach a door. And even one of them was like there was almost no decorations, but they had a little, and it wasn't even a realistic looking one, but a phony skeleton sitting on the front porch, and she very, very cautiously approached that one. This year, we hit the house next to it, and Brooke goes, "I want to see the clowns," and I went, "Okay, let me go look at it first." And again, animatronics in the front.
Yep.
Peeked my head behind the curtain, saw a couple of the homeowners there ready to jump scare people, and it was just too much on the inside, but it was enough that like we walked out in front, and she was just amazed by the like the mechanics of it. It wasn't even like the clowns didn't even phase her. It was like, ooh, how did they do that? And one of the guys, the homeowners, was just sitting there holding a bucket of candy, and I go, "Brooke, turn around." I said, "What do you think of that one?" She goes, "Oh, that one looks real." And he moves and hands her a piece of candy, and she didn't even jump. I was just like, "Wow, okay." We didn't bring Charlotte over there.
Yeah.
So.
No, meanwhile, she's going to try and build herself an android clown now. We know how that turns out.
Hey, that's fine. She can unleash it on the population, and I'm happy to report that now, we're a week removed from Halloween. No scary clown nightmares, anything like that. Was my biggest concern, was like over the next few days of, you know, Daddy, the clown is chasing me, which kids in their imaginations.
No, now I'm just afraid of Nate. Your daughter's chasing me. She's gonna beat me up again. Little punk.
Very much so. Very much a punk. I love her. Love her with all my heart. But yeah, as you saw from, if you're live,
or you're watching on YouTube,
if you're hearing this after the fact, you missed out. Go check out the YouTube channel.
Yep. But like the fun thing is, we'll call it, with the girls is that, like, Jesus, they grow, like, okay, some new things happening here and here and here, and then some massive leap that they do. And they're like, well, that one wasn't in the books.
Right.
Like, oh, that's supposed to happen in a year. Cool, it's happening now.
And then, of course, those little things they do now that, you know, you've grown to love and adore, gone.
Yep.
They're like my years of enjoying my sweet little innocent Charlotte are, you know, went out the window with a headbutt.
Evil, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I went out before that. We just didn't acknowledge it till then.
Yeah.
Hey, Skycap, cheers. But yeah, no, it's, I don't know. And like, they're still adorable. Like, they still get along, but like, no matter what, they walk into the room and they control the room. Not like, you know, being bullies or anything like that, but it's just,
I mean, some of that is,
they are bullies. Like, especially your middle one to the youngest. Like, she likes to push her buttons.
Yeah.
And, you know, my youngest is returning the favor, or my only, I should say. So that one's been interesting as the two of them develop.
Yeah, and she's been pushing back against the oldest as well, and it's been kind of nice to see, because my oldest can be a little bit of a shit.
Yep.
And
the biggest problem I would say right now with your oldest is the fact that she's just like, yeah, I'm going to try this new thing now that I never thought of before.
Mm-hmm.
So I found her scaling the bookcase the other day and, not only getting up to the top, but then, side scooting across it. And it's, one of those IKEA square bookshelves that's like 8 feet tall. And thankfully it's mounted, like I secured it to the wall. But she's like, no, just up there, moving fine. I'm like, what the hell are you doing up there?
And to all your parents out there, this is why you secure them to the wall.
Yeah.
Because that's how fast it happens.
Yeah, and then my 21-month-old starts trying to do that with her smaller one. I'm like, no, that's not something to learn. No, let's not do that.
Right?
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. But no, so this is what life has come to, and I realize as we're starting to figure out next steps of, what we're doing and whatever, that
I'm trying to find the water to whiskey ratio here.
It's going to be completely different, when we try for our second, just like it's been different and the same for every one of yours. And, there ain't no guidebook.
Yeah, there's there's suggestions. There are tendencies and trends, but there is no hard and fast rule for any of them. And if the 3 girls that are here now are any indicator of that, like how quickly things change and how some things miss marks, some things exceed them. Like,
yeah. I will point out something, though, that if my second is a boy,
God help him.
God help him. And if it's a girl, God help us. And speaking of girls, I think that's mine waking up.
Yeah, I wonder why she's so upset. Did someone take her pet snake away?
No, the pet snake's there. By pet snake, there's a stuffed snake she just got at the zoo that she had to sleep with, which left a very interesting image on the baby monitor.
Yeah, they shared a picture of baby monitor and small python next to child, which without context would probably be one of the most scary images you'll ever see.
But thankfully it's purple and, stuffed.
Yeah, but purple and stuff doesn't show up on a night vision baby monitor.
Exactly. But again, context is key.
Right. Yeah, life comes at you real fast.
So what else we got? Ooh. Yeah, this is part of her too. When she's not getting her way, she throws a temper tantrum and makes sure everyone knows.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So here's something to point out there, and this is knowing that we have a couple new dads in our community and whatever. This is the biggest lesson we'll teach you. When the kid is freaking out and throwing her temper tantrum, it's not that they're being bad. It's they don't know how to properly regulate their emotions and their feelings.
Right. And they don't have the language to communicate.
Exactly. So, like, my daughter's just waking up now, and she hates waking up. She's just like her mom in that regard. She would like to sleep and be in bed the entire time or eat and be fine. But she gets herself worked up, and the only thing you can do is, distract her and let her work through those feelings.
Right.
And go from there. And you know what? You could fight it and you could push all these other things and yell at the kids and whatever, but then they don't have good coping skills.
Right. And again, she's at this age yet where she doesn't have the language to communicate things. So you don't know if she woke up because her stomach's upset. You don't know if she woke up because she just woke up early. You don't know if she woke up because she had a nightmare. If this particular level of wetness in my diaper is just unsettling for me.
Yeah.
Right. There are so many reasons, and she knows none of the ways to communicate those other than I'm awake. I don't want to be wah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, the perfect example. The other day while she was homesick, she insists on sitting on me while watching Moana and found a brush and started brushing my hair. And then she started, getting really cranky and uncomfortable, but wouldn't move, and eventually, threw up.
Right.
On me, in my ear. And then, continue to hold me down and brush my hair while there's puke over the two of us.
Well, she felt better now.
She felt amazing at that point. Daddy, however, did not. Daddy needed Mommy to, come get our little one.
And Daddy
and
needed to hose
go
himself
take a
off again.
shower.
Yep.
And cry, and point out in the doll where he had been violated. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah, there's all sorts of fluid stories with children. I think the other morning, one of the mornings I got home nice and early, I was awoken to my oldest, Brooke, going, "Daddy, what, dear? You need to wake up." "Why?" "Because my diaper overflowed and I'm soaking wet." She's sitting on me. There went my sleep.
Yep. That's okay. My
I
daughter is
appreciate-
also
Right? I
took a
appreciate
shit on
her
my
letting.
head.
Yeah, I appreciate her letting me know. She didn't have to sit on me to do it. But again, like,
Well, sharing is caring.
right?
But hey, on a tangent, take a look at Mr. Fu's shirt and hat. This is just some of the little bit of swag that we've put together.
Yeah.
Got the Nate Fu logo hat.
Yeah, the dad slouch hat, because I wouldn't have it any other way. And
Yep.
then, of course, if you can't read it,
It's
According
the
to
quote that
science.
he's used on like 6
Yeah.
episodes so far.
according to science, alcohol is a solution.
With the updated logo and whiskey glass, courtesy of
Speaking
Dizzy
of whiskey
Designs.
glass, right?
Yep, and whiskey glass with the Dizzy Design logo on them.
Yeah, we officially got that order in, right? So we have stock.
We have some stock, so people want it, let us know. We have a few available. But yeah, we circling back, we need to work on some of this content that we've promised y'all. We still have the what the fuck did I just buy? And we've got a couple episodes of shit the toddler does up, but more to come on that one.
Yeah.
And parenting after dark has just been so far us falling asleep because we're all
There is
exhausted.
no parenting after
So-
dark. Yeah. By the time I'm actually on and streaming, you should be rightfully asleep.
So
And I haven't even had the desire to hit that button lately. It's just I don't know how long I'm gonna play.
yeah, I've been jumping into New World and like doing little spurts throughout the day. Or
Yeah, you've been
whatever.
really enjoying New World. I've been hearing some complaints
yeah,
more so than the standard Reddit thread.
yeah.
So
So you want to tangent to game news? And that
yeah,
kind
I
of
think
stuff?
I think we're good with that.
All right. So, well, first off, New World. We have a unique connection to it. You in particular. Your
Right.
Your
My
brother.
half brother, yeah, my little brother, is what would you say him? He's an artist.
He's one of the concept artists.
Yeah, one of the concept artists. That's what I was looking for, and has designed some of the. Well, he collaborated on some of the monsters, but he has some specific designs that are all his in the armor front.
Yeah. So in the skins are, he's got a couple that were his. He was featured in the artist spotlight that Amazon did. His work was primarily around the ancients. So the bad guys, bad enemies there. But visually, the game is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And from a launch standpoint, having played MMOs and large games since they were MUDs, yes, this has issues, but I don't think they're anywhere close to the issues that WoW had on launch, or EverQuest had on launch, or even more recent games have had on launch. I think the issues is that because it was delayed so much and went through so many drastic changes, expectations were set that were not necessarily realistic,
Right.
and not necessarily on Amazon Game Studios side.
Well, this is also, mind you, Amazon Studios' first foray into like a AAA title.
Yeah, and this game has changed drastically from alpha. Like originally in alpha it was a PvP base builder,
Right.
And now it's more. It's got theme park elements, but it's a little bit more organized and less player dependent for certain things. But Endgame struggles a little bit, which
Right.
again is not surprising.
It has
because-
a very unique mechanic that I haven't seen in any other MMO to this point, and that's with the territory control aspect of it.
Mhm.
Like, I've seen territory control in other games, but none of them were MMOs,
right.
right?
And I mean, a lot of the stuff that is problematic now is the end game stuff.
Mhm.
And you know what? I just reached the beginnings of Endgame this past week. People were reaching Endgame the first week it came out,
Of course,
and were complaining about content. I'm like, dude, there is so much to this game that you haven't even touched.
right? But and
But that's always the
we've seen this with our Destiny community. New content comes out, they literally stay up for 72 hours straight, grind through all the content, and then by the end of the first week, they're all done and go, "What the heck, Bungie? The season's so boring. You needed to put out more." And it's like, no, take the hours you just put into it, divide them over a workaday, person's time, and it works.
Yeah. Well, and also think about the cost that you would normally pay. Like a decade ago, you'd spend $60
Mhm.
on a brand new title and maybe get 70, 80 hours of gameplay out of it. And that was damn
If that,
worth it.
if
Yeah.
that, you're talking about some of the original Ghost Recon and Call of Duty campaigns,
Mhm.
4 hours.
Yeah. And, it was purposely designed for that. And now
The new
people
Metroid
expect-
Dread that just came out, 12 hours.
Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but that's a damn good deal. And video game prices,
Mm-hmm.
any game prices, period, have not changed in 30 years.
Mm-hmm. But development costs have.
Yeah, development costs have. And it's not a lack of content. Like, the content in this is damn impressive.
Right.
Like, if you think about it, think about what you pay for a movie ticket and how much goes into that. Now think about what you're getting in a game and how much you get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then scale it for the fact that everyone is unique and different and has all these different things going on.
Right.
And
sure.
I mean-
And the one of the arguments, well, the tools have gotten so much better. Sure. But so have the requirements because of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about fully rendered, lifelike environments now.
And I mean, the joke is like, well, now you can copy and paste so many things and use it again. I'm like, guess what? Right here above us, we've got Fantasia cells. The secret from Disney, I can show you 8 movies in a row that were hand-drawn,
Mm-hmm.
and they use the exact same movements, the exact same animations, and just reuse it and put a new character over the front of it.
Right.
And that's it.
There's a lot of artifacts in a lot of the old Disney movies. Like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Was so and so really in this movie? And it's like, no, they weren't. They were. Yes, it was the same animation, recolored for another movie.
Yeah. And guess what? You know how all the princesses had exactly the same body type?
Mm-hmm.
That's because they could just trace over the old stuff
Right.
and reuse it.
And
They all
recolor it.
have the exact same hips and the exact same gait because then they didn't have to redraw it each time.
Right.
And so you start looking at it, there's always ways to speed things up. There's always advantages and disadvantages and things that can happen.
But that doesn't take away from the creative talent
exactly
that goes into it.
But it doesn't suddenly say, oh, well, now things are suddenly easier
Right.
because you can copy paste and that makes the game there. Like, okay, well, just using Destiny or New World or any of these things as an example.
Let's use Destiny as an example. You want to try to copy paste something and hope it works. I introduce you to Telesto.
Right?
Right.
Well, I mean, but even in Destiny, like, yeah, we're using the same exact characters, the same exact enemy units.
Mhm.
The weapons are just reskins of the existing stuff. But how hard is it to develop all of that?
Mhm.
Like, we've seen them introduce, 6 new weapon archetypes, over the course of 4 years. And
With both
Those-
sidearms, grenade launchers.
but even, the specific types within each of those. And then each of those, I hear
It's like a horn.
clawing at the door.
I
Yeah.
see the doorknob wiggling.
I'm waiting for fingers to come under the door. But even at that point, there's all the balancing. There's all the issues that go into it. And
Right.
I'm sorry, if you're going to throw a temper tantrum because the visuals are, have gotten better, but they're reskinned, and then you complain about the balance of the mechanics of the core game. It sounds like you want your cake and everything at the same time.
Yeah, you want StarCraft 2. Is what you want.
You want everything all at once.
Yeah.
And, even StarCraft 2 still continues to get reiterations on it.
Right. But again, that's because they want to innovate on it. When StarCraft 2 released, it was the most balanced, most well-polished RTS that was available because of years of research and, balancing on the original StarCraft.
Right.
And then they gave it a visual polish. But balancing wasn't that hard until they started introducing new units, new abilities,
new expansions,
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, this is out of whack.
Yep.
And far be it for any time you have gamers, we're going to find the path of least effort to reach the end goal. This is why speedrunning is it's a thing. Like, how quickly can I make that 11 hours of game time go to nothing? And what glitches, exploits, like, none of it's ever really done cleanly. It's done by finding these breaks in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, no matter what, you're never going to be everything to everyone.
No.
That's part of the reason that there's so many diverse games out there. And I think that's a huge opportunity. I think it's, developers have screwed up and have taken advantage of people. The Project Red team.
Yeah, in the literal and physical sense, we're still dealing with the backlash of Blizzard, Activision.
Yeah, and I mean, we could talk about how that plays in finance and all other industries at some point, but you look at CD Projekt Red and what they did with Cyberpunk, and how they took advantage of their teams to push something out that blatantly wasn't ready.
Right.
But at the same time,
they're going to use the excuse. Yeah, they're going to use the excuse of the success of No Man's Sky.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not even about that. Like No Man's Sky, I have huge faith in No Man's Sky and in CD Projekt Red that they realize they screwed up and they're not going to be like, okay, bye, peace.
Right. They'll eventually get it right. Yeah.
And that's the thing that I value is no one is going to be able to do it. Like we joke. What is it? We've got Halo Infinite coming out shortly, and it's going to be an amazing thing for 3 weeks. Everyone's going to be excited about it. And then guess what? The core components of it that, a certain type of gamer is drawn to is going to end up being why they continue to play it, and everyone else is going to be like, okay, cool, moving on to the next thing.
Right.
And you're going to hear people, it's like, oh, it wasn't worth my money, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, and using Halo is a perfect example of that. Halo has now spanned, they're 20 years of content between two different game studios and different iterations and methodologies behind, the entire experience. But a lot of the core components, and people try to put this on Destiny as well, is the PvP component. And you still have people. There are newer versions of Halo out there, and Halo Infinite's coming out, and people are going to try it. If they don't like what they get, they're going to go back to Halo 5. Halo 5 has got a great population. Halo 3 has got a great population of PvPers because they like that particular sandbox, that particular
Rainbow
style.
Six.
What do you have? Yes,
from the 90s.
Splitgate, right? Splitgate came out and absolutely just, cloned the Halo PvP experience and added a portal element to it. And they're having great success because people like that experience.
Yeah. But they blatantly say, this isn't for everyone.
Right.
It's very much hey, you guys like our type of games? Cool. This is what we're going to do it for. And, part of me thinks that the democratization of game development, just like there was for music production and television and film and short-form media and that sort of stuff, is also going to have a huge impact on gaming. Some of the most successful games out there are indie games at this point. And some of the big AAA games, they're going to get support and meet their numbers, but they're not the, cult followings.
Right. Well, and again, there's technology has it is the double-edged sword. right? Before, in order to make a game be successful, you had to be in bed with a publisher, right? And a distributor. This was no different than the music industry. This was no different than the film industry. You look at a lot of movies out there and it's like, okay, new line, new line, new line, new line. And you go, how many movies did they didn't do anything for these other than they were the distribution channel, right? Activision was a huge distribution channel.
Yeah, Activision and EA are the two big names in video game publishing.
And Microsoft.
Well, Microsoft came in
And Sony
later.
now, yeah.
Yeah, and Sony did it specifically for their platforms, but now with some of the steps that are going on, they're looking at increasing it and going from there. And Amazon now is even looking at it. Part of the Twitch leak was the code for and some of the iterations on them trying to create a Steam competitor.
Sure. Yeah, what a non-story that was, right? The Twitch leak. Like that came and went like a fart in the wind.
Yeah. I mean, security-wise, it's very interesting.
Right.
Because, you get a product that's entirely owned and operated on their own dedicated systems, and they still couldn't protect it. So what does that say about
anytime you have a hole to get to the outside world, someone will find a way to exploit it.
Yep.
But yeah, like music today, and I actually just had this conversation with an independent artist. It's like the costs to get into the music industry are a tenth of what they used to.
If even that.
If that. The cost to get equipment. What we're running here, the mix board, the 2 mics, whatnot, this was something that would have cost $3,000.
Well, like, think about how it used.
Then you need the software, right? Then you would need the software to mix and produce. You would need the environment to do that in. Like,
well, so the big change for music was Pro Tools. When Pro Tools came out, it suddenly said, oh, all that stuff that you needed a massive studio and massive capabilities and investment to be able to do, now someone can invest and do it in their garage.
Right.
And that scale has now dropped even further.
Right, because, it started with Pro Tools, so the cost for the software,
it started with having to invest in a building that then you soundproofed, and then you had to, run cables, and then you had to do far more advanced engineering and capabilities in order to get it, and then it had to be transposed into multiple productions.
The one album I helped work on, we had a studio in a garage in the middle of Winnetka, and the same thing. It was like everything double soundproofed. You had the audio booth where you could put down the vocal tracks. You had the other stage area where you could lay down your instruments, and it's like the soundboard that was in that room was 10 feet, 15 feet long for all your channels, and everything was mixed directly to a piece of tape.
Yep.
Right. Now I've got that same power.
Well, I mean, not the exact same, but I mean, for everything we need, or most people would need at an entry level there.
Most of the people that are doing that, and again, you have your distribution channel, you have YouTube, you have Twitch, you have whatever, like TikTok. You can get your content out there.
And when content's king, you've got the ability to start playing differently with it.
Yep.
And ultimately it comes down to, and I think this is the fun conversation when people start talking about cancel culture. And, that game, for lack of a better term, was before, if someone didn't like you on the executive board, they could just completely block you out and blacklist you, and you couldn't do anything. Now, all those decisions can bypass some of those executives and end up directly in the public, and the public can make their own choices. It's not just some rich guy, usually white, behind a desk making those decisions that you had to suck up to.
Right.
It's different.
But I'm like, I don't know what can be more damaging, the private courts or the court of public opinion.
Right.
Once you get a groundswell going on you, I mean, we'll see in the next 2 weeks how everyone feels about Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Like, that's a whole nother shitstorm that we're dealing with.
Well, if we want to tangent real quick, not necessarily that, but in times that we're talking now, ages 5 to 11 have now been approved for the vaccine.
Yep.
And
5 to 12. Yeah.
5 to 12, yeah. And then I want to say in January, there's tentative talks of 2 and up being able to qualify for the vaccine, because it's going through studies now and it's showing really good results. So
Right.
fingers crossed. And I mean, there's still people that are fighting it, and a whole bunch
There
of
are always
misinformation.
there is always going to be people fighting it, even with good information.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's several, so out here in California, the mandate was that for all government employees had to be vaccinated. And that includes schools.
Oh, we're going through those talks at my work as well, because I work in aviation.
Yep.
So we have a federal component to that. And we're going to get right out of games and right back into games. Our union, the UAW, which is headquartered out in Detroit, back when the pandemic started, was like, we have to protect all of our brothers and sisters, and we need to get everyone vaccinated because that's what we need to do to survive. Because, if we start losing too many, then we lose the ability, or we lose our numbers.
Yeah.
And everyone was gung-ho on that. And then as soon as mandates became a talk, whoa, wait, let's have another discussion here.
Yeah.
And I understand where they're coming from, being headquartered in Detroit and having a lot of the industry that the UAW covers be in the Midwest, typically more conservative counties. But the head of my chapter put his foot down and said, look, you told us this in 2020. Now 2021, you're trying to walk it back for whatever reasons. But this is California. This is how we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fight if they mandate. That is not a hill that's worth dying on.
Yeah. Well, and we're seeing a lot of, X amount of people have, are refusing to get it. The one that I like to use as an example is New York Police Force.
Mm-hmm.
New York Police Force has something like, New York government, city government, includes police force, whatever, has something like 30,000 employees.
Right.
They were mandated, and everyone that didn't do it was let go. And like, oh my God, these people are losing their jobs, and they focused on them. That was 34 people.
Right.
Out of 30,000, 10,000, whatever. And I mean, you know what? If that's the hill they want to die on and fight, that's their choice.
Sure.
But so are the consequences that come with that choice. And regardless of the situation, governments have the right to mandate that in, public health.
Right. And I guess that point right there is the debate, not the efficacy of vaccines or whatnot. Is where is the government's line?
Well, and
right?
So a lot of the conversation has been, if we're going to go down this rabbit hole.
I'm happy to have that debate with people, not about
Yeah. Well, I mean, the government can mandate it. Individual companies can mandate it. But people want, this is my choice and my freedom.
But you can't be selective about it. Right.
Right. And I'm like, I'm sorry, if a company can refuse someone's service based on their beliefs or individual mandates or things like that, if they can, on their respective, withhold birth control because they don't believe in it, I'm sorry, they also have the ability to do other health mandates as well.
Right.
And it's not a, pick or choose things based on your own thing. This is the precedent, this is the law. It's either, this is how it's happening or that's how it's happening. You can't carve it out. And personally, I don't, I'm not going to state my opinion as far as one way or another, though if you listen to these podcasts, you should know what it is well enough at this point. But
yeah, we don't
just playing devil's advocate of this is what the rules are. It's not a conversation. It's not a back and forth. It's, the perfect example is people bought tickets to a concert that specifically said you have to show up with a negative COVID test or a vaccine card. And when they showed up, then they weren't granted access because they didn't have either. They threw a temper tantrum and put it on social media. And I was like, but you knew what you were going into because you had to sign that and make that agreement to get those tickets in the first place.
Right. And their defense was, well, nobody ever reads the terms of service. Well, you should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sorry. Ignorance is not an excuse.
Yep.
Especially when people have to go out of their way now to present it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But how about them local sports franchise?
That's, yeah.
All right. How long have we been going?
We're just under an hour.
Just under an hour?
Just under an hour. So with edits and whatnot, we'll probably be just under 45 minutes. But no, I wanted to actually get into a lot of stuff that's coming up now. Like, I want to say Monday, we're getting the release of Forza 5. We just got the release of Age of Empires.
I have to play that still.
Right? Age of Empires or Forza?
Age of Empire.
Yeah.
I'm an RTS guy.
That was one I was looking forward to. I want the wife to play it because it's supposedly more historically accurate than any other game, and I don't have the background to say yes or no.
Once you get to the point that you're back on day schedule, and we can ship the kids off to someone else, I will play with both of you.
But yeah, that's like there's that. What was it? Again, Metroid Dread just came out with glowing reviews.
Darkest Dungeon 2 has officially entered early access on Steam, and that one's been very interesting to watch. We've got the Cycle playtesting going on in Call of Duty Vanguard. Beta access, I want to say.
Right. That's going to be an interesting one this year. Again, not to divvy it on political lines, but the support for the Treyarch has been strong, but the backlash against Activision Blizzard has been just as strong.
Yep.
So I'll be real curious to see how that one looks really good.
Yeah, I've seen a couple people playing it, and it's not my type of game at all.
Right.
But watching Dr. Lupo, Tim the Tatman, and Dr. Disrespect rage at it has certainly been entertaining.
Well, I mean, that's any PvP game. I've always liked the zombie aspect of it.
Yeah. So what else? We've got NFT games are starting to become an interesing concept.
NFT games?
Non-fungible tokens. So collect and trade basically NFTs in the game, and they help you progress, and stuff you create can be tracked in a blockchain and then sold and whatever. It's an interesting concept. I mean, I know someone, there was the stories for a while of how much money gets invested into games like Eve and into what was that, Second Life and those sorts of things. So like, there's legitimate stuff out there. We've got Facebook, the game formerly known as Facebook, now known as Meta.
Meta, right?
But the former current Meta is now the new current Facebook and all that stuff. So
yeah, apparently there's two different lawsuits going on right now with the Meta company and Meta PC over trademark and copyright violations. This will be fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, the correct response is Facebook's going to throw money at it, and these small companies are going to hopefully get something out of it,
right,
and go from there, or they'll be assholes and fight it.
Yeah, and again, it's why wasn't the Meta company fighting with Meta PC over the Meta tag? Right? Because there was no money in it. Oh, but now that Meta, not the Meta company, right? You can't take a word like that. Like that'd be like us suing another company. That'd be like us going after the Old Fashioned podcast, because they talk about whiskey, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but we have whiskey with Wookiees, so
right. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm exhausted. So.
Makes me want to slam my head through a wall sometimes.
Well, I think that's been the entire theme of this podcast episode, hasn't it?
No, well, to slam my head through your nose would be more accurate.
It'd be more spot on, you might say. More on the nose.
More on the nose. There you go.
Oh. with that, I think we're ready to wrap up.
I think we're ready to wrap up. And if anyone would like to, acquire our more recent merch, we do have the store link is up on Debuff Dad.
Yeah, it's part of the Debuff Dad website.
Yeah, everything you can find is on the Debuff Dad website.
I promise as soon as we get some breathing time, we'll get some more content up. And once we do that, we'll start doing some giveaways.
Yay!
Getting more people out there interested. But until then, coming to you from episode 32 of the Whiskey Podcast, I'm Chew Data.
And I am Nate Fu.
Cheers. All right.
Are we going to raid someone?
Well, I'm going to go to the